When you hear the name Aphrodite, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Probably love, beauty, maybe even a seashell. You're not wrong, but today we're going to peel back the layers and discover that the goddess of love was so much more than just a pretty face. She was a powerhouse, a political player, and a figure of immense complexity. From her jaw-dropping birth to her scandalous love affairs and her surprising role in the biggest war in Greek mythology, we're diving deep into the untold story of Aphrodite. So grab a snack, get comfy, and let's explore one of the most fascinating deities of the ancient world. Let's start at the very beginning, Aphrodite's birth. And trust me, it's not your typical origin story. There are actually two main versions. The most famous one, told by the poet Hesiod, is pretty dramatic. It all began when the Titan Cronus overthrew his father, Uranus, the primordial sky god. In a rather grisly act, Cronus severed his father's genitals and tossed them into the sea. From the bubbling sea foam that formed around them, a fully grown, breathtakingly beautiful goddess emerged. This was Aphrodite, whose name even means foam-born. She floated to shore on a giant scallop shell, a scene immortalized by the famous painter Botticelli. This version makes her one of the oldest gods, born from a cosmic act of violence, tying her power directly to the fundamental forces of the universe. But there's another, simpler story told by Homer in the Iliad. In his version, Aphrodite is the daughter of Zeus, the king of the gods, and Dione, a Titaness. This lineage places her squarely within the Olympian family, making her a sister to gods like Ares and Athena. While less dramatic, this version integrates her more directly into the family squabbles and politics of Mount Olympus. So, was she an ancient primordial force or a younger Olympian princess? The ancient Greeks seemed to be fine with both stories existing at once. It just shows how multifaceted she really was. Now, imagine being the goddess of beauty. Every single god on Mount Olympus wanted to marry her. Zeus, ever the political strategist, had a problem on his hands. He worried that a competition for Aphrodite's hand would tear the gods apart and cause a catastrophic war. So, what was his solution? He married her off to the one god he thought was the least threatening, Hephaestus. Hephaestus was the god of the forge, blacksmiths, and fire. He was incredibly skilled, a master craftsman, but he was also described as lame and not exactly the most handsome of the gods. Zeus figured this would neutralize the threat. Well, that plan backfired spectacularly. Aphrodite was not happy with this arrangement. She was the embodiment of passion and desire, and she felt trapped in a loveless marriage. Did she stay faithful? Absolutely not. Aphrodite embarked on one of the most famous and scandalous affairs in all of Greek mythology with none other than Ares, the god of war. It was the ultimate case of opposites attract, love and war, beauty and brutality. Their passion was intense and all-consuming. They would meet in secret, but you can't keep a secret like that on Mount Olympus for long. The sun god, Helios, who sees everything, spotted them together and immediately tattled to Hephaestus. Hephaestus was a brilliant craftsman, not a fighter, so he wasn't going to challenge Ares to a duel. Instead, he decided to use his brains. He forged an incredible, unbreakable, and nearly invisible golden net. He then pretended to leave for a trip, and sure enough, Ares came calling. Hephaestus sprung his trap, and the net fell, capturing the two lovers in a very compromising position. But he didn't stop there. Hephaestus then invited all the other gods to come and see. Can you imagine the humiliation? The gods roared with laughter, and Poseidon eventually persuaded Hephaestus to release them, but the damage was done. This story wasn't just ancient gossip. It showed a clash of values. the arranged duty-bound marriage versus passionate, free love. From her affair with Ares, Aphrodite had several children who embodied different aspects of her domain. There was Eros, better known by his Roman name Cupid, the mischievous god of desire, who shot arrows to make people fall in love. There was also Harmonia, the goddess of harmony, representing a balance between her parents' conflicting natures. But Ares wasn't Aphrodite's only mortal lover. She also had a famous affair with a mortal man, the handsome Trojan shepherd Anchises. Zeus actually caused this to happen, as a bit of payback for all the times Aphrodite had made him fall for mortals. She fell head over heels for Anchises, and from their union came a son, Aeneas. This is hugely important because Aeneas would go on to survive the Trojan War and, according to Roman mythology, his descendants would found the city of Rome. So, in a way, Aphrodite is the divine ancestor of the entire Roman Empire. Speaking of the Trojan War, you can't tell that story without Aphrodite. In fact, she's a major reason it even started. It all began at a wedding where Eris, the goddess of discord, threw a golden apple inscribed with the words "for the fairest." 3 goddesses immediately claimed it: Hera, the queen of the gods; Athena, the goddess of wisdom; and of course, Aphrodite. They asked Zeus to judge, but he wisely refused and passed the task to a mortal prince, Paris of Troy. Each goddess offered him a bribe. Hera offered power, Athena offered victory in battle, and Aphrodite offered him the most beautiful mortal woman in the world as his wife. Paris, being a young man, chose Aphrodite's offer. The problem was, the most beautiful woman, Helen, was already married to Menelaus, the king of Sparta. When Paris, with Aphrodite's help, abducted Helen and took her back to Troy, it sparked the decade-long Trojan War. Throughout the war, Aphrodite was fiercely on the side of the Trojans. She protected Paris in battle, at one point whisking him away in a cloud of mist when he was about to be defeated. She even tried to save her son Aeneas, and was wounded in the process by the Greek hero Diomedes. It's one of the rare times a mortal injures a god. Her involvement shows that her power wasn't just about romance. It was a force that could shape history and cause devastating conflicts. Love, in her hands, was a weapon. But Aphrodite wasn't all about grand affairs and epic wars. Her influence was deeply felt in the daily lives of ancient Greeks. She was worshipped everywhere. People would pray to her for help in finding a partner, for fertility, or simply to bring more love and harmony into their lives. Her temples, like the famous one in the city of Corinth, were major centers of worship. These weren't just places of prayer. They were often associated with sacred prostitution, where rituals were performed to honor the goddess's physical and spiritual aspects of love. For the Greeks, love and desire weren't things to be ashamed of. They were divine forces to be respected and worshipped, and Aphrodite was the embodiment of that. She also had a darker, more vengeful side. When people slighted her or refused to honor her, her punishments could be severe. Take the story of Hippolytus, a young man who devoted himself to the virgin goddess Artemis and scorned Aphrodite and the very idea of love. To punish him for his arrogance, Aphrodite made his stepmother, Phaedra, fall madly in love with him. This led to a tragic chain of events that resulted in the deaths of both Hippolytus and Phaedra. Aphrodite's message was clear. You cannot deny the power of love. It is a fundamental part of the human experience, and to reject it is to invite disaster. So, as you can see, Aphrodite is so much more than the one-dimensional goddess of love. She is often portrayed as she is a primordial force born from the sea, a political pawn, a passionate adulterer, a protective mother, and a vengeful deity. She represents love in all its forms, the pure romance, the messy affair, the bond between parent and child, and the devastating passion that can start a war. Her stories explored the complexities of desire, beauty, and human relationships in a way that still resonates with us thousands of years later. She teaches us that love is not just a gentle emotion, it's a powerful, unpredictable, and sometimes dangerous force that shapes our world. Aphrodite's legacy is all around us. Every time we talk about romance, appreciate a work of art, or even use the word aphrodisiac, we are tapping into her ancient power. She is the ancestor of Rome, the cause of the Trojan War, and the mother of Cupid. Her influence is woven into the very fabric of Western culture. She reminds us that beauty is powerful and that love, in all its chaotic glory, is one of the most divine forces of all. What do you think? Is Aphrodite a villain, a hero, or something in between? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think about this complex goddess. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into Greek mythology, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.